Hi everyone, welcome back. So let's start our sessions with what exactly this XCUI test is. So this XCUI test is an UI testing framework which was launched by Apple in 2015. With this XCUI test, we can test the user interface of your application using the Swift or an Object-C programming language. So internally, the language that we guys need to use for this XCUI test is a Swift or an Objective-C basically. These are the two, or I can use any one of these two basically to work on this XCUI test. And moreover, this XAI test will work only for the native applications that we are developing, and that should be written in Swift or an Object-C itself. Gets. So the Xcode 7 introduces the new UI testing feature with a fully integrated into the Xcode IDE itself. So it means on a high level, I can say that if at all you want to use this XCUI test, you don't need to do any configuration. It was already preloaded with your Xcoder itself. Then here we were using a Swift, right? So what exactly a Swift is? If we want to get into XCUI test, you may also want to learn a Swift programming language because the XCUI uses Swift for writing the UI test or the network test or the performance test. So the ultimate point out over here is if you want to write down something in XCUI test, definitely you need to have some basic idea on a Swift programming language. And the Swift is a modern, fast, and a type safe, and most importantly, it's easy to learn a programming language. So the ultimate point here is it's a kind of a programming language which is easy to learn. If at all you are comfortable with the Java, C Sharp, or any one of the programming languages, it's really easy for us to learn this Swift programming language. With Swift and XCUI test, you can automate Apple platforms applications very easily. You can say whatever the applications we are developing for an Apple site, basically, we can automate all those applications using this XCUI test. Perfect. And immediately a quick question will rise in our mind, buddy, why are we studying about an XCUI test? We have a number of automation tools available in the market. Why we need to discuss only this XCUI test itself? Because it's native, and by being it's a super fast to test that particular applications. And all of the mobile testing frameworks use the XCI test under the hood itself. So on a high level, I can say that if at all I'm using appium to work on my mobile automation testing for iOS, internally this appium is using this XCI test framework itself. So that I will be explaining moving ahead in the next session maybe while we are comparing this XCI test with an appium. So the ultimate point out over here is no matter whatever the automation tool you are using, if at all your objective is to interact with an iOS based applications, then internally all those tools are using this XCUI under the hood itself. Okay, perfect. And if you use the XCUI test to automate your iOS applications or other Apple platform applications, you must write down your code using the Swift programming language itself. And of course, this code almost looks like the code whatever the developers are using. Okay, on a high level, we can say that whatever the test cases we are creating, it almost looks like the code base, whatever the developers are creating for an Apple apps, basically. And the another benefit with respect to this XCUI test is basically creating of a pipelines. It will be very easy for us in order to create a pipelines whenever we are using an XUI test. So far, we have seen the various advantages and the limitations wise, if you can consider using XUI test, we can automate only iOS based applications. We can't use this tool for a cross platform. It means the Android apps I can't automate using this XUI test. The similar way, if you need to work on this XUI test, you should be familiar familiarized with either Swift or Objective-C as a programming language, which doesn't support the multiple programming language feature. Cool. So this is all about an overview on a XCUI test. And in the next session, we will see a quick comparison of XCUI test with the various tools available in the market.